All right, we are bringing our runners in for this amazing run of Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. So, hello.
Hello.
Yo.
Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Yeah,
All right.
sure. I'll start.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
Lenemphy, and I'm a Wind Waker Randomizer runner, and I'll be racing DJ here. DJ.
And I'm DJ Wobble. I've been racing Wind Waker Rhino since season 3, I believe. So, pretty experienced on the randomizer and tricks.
I think we started at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm Colfra. I am commentating for these two. I'm also a Wind Waker randomizer runner as well. So yeah, hello everyone.
Then I think we're ready to start.
I'm just sorry, 1 second. I'm just getting stream up. Okay. So yeah, everyone. Hello everyone. Welcome to Wind Waker. There is a lot to talk about, but we should get going. So I think Asuka, our restreamer, will start off the race. So feel free to do it. Well, we are starting in 8 seconds. So good luck, have fun, both of you.
Good luck, have fun.
Off we go. So yeah, there is a lot to talk about in Wind Waker. What we'll see both runners do immediately is talk to our fellow companion, the King of Red Lions. He is the boat. We call him Coral as a short acronym. What's special about Coral is that he provides hints for our randomizer. So there's 3 types of hints provided by Coral. We have path hints, which are the first 4 text boxes. Then we also have barren island hints, which basically says that these specific sectors on our world map contain barren items, so there's no point checking them. And then we have kind of general locations hints. I'm not entirely sure Savage Octagon, but it looks like Lenemphy's stream is frozen for me on our dashboard. Is that the same on the stream? It looks to be.
Does. Yeah, it does look like
Okay.
it
So
is.
I'll continue
Send
for now. Tell me when if to stop if we need to restart anything. But I assume Lenemphy's doing the same thing because these hints can be very important. It can kind of provide some guidance on where to go. So something unique to Wind Waker compared to other 3D Zelda games is that we start with warp songs to teleport anywhere in the world, and we have access to basically all the islands. So if you know Wind Waker, we have this grid sector type of world map where every sector contains an island, and each island can contain either a secret cave or something useful in general. And we're able to get to all of them, but sometimes you do require specific progressive items to do things on the island. So not all of them are useful from the start, but because we're quite open from the beginning, it can be difficult to know where to go, and so the hints does provide sorts of guidance on where to go. So DJ has just finished talking to the King of Red Lions, so has sorted out all his hints, hopefully written them all down. First easy check is the salvage corpse. So this is kind of a free check where you just say hello to them and they'll give you, I believe they kind of help you with the grappling hook in the vanilla version of the game, the normal version of the game. But in this case, they give you silver rupee, which is a random item. And then we're talking to our lovely shopkeeper, Beetle. Always there when you need him. He also has a item in the 20 rupee slot, which is DJ decided to pick up. Treasure charts are not enabled for this settings. I'll talk about season 5 settings in a second. But if we see treasure charts, generally we don't want to pick them up. So something on the Nanfi stream right now is this spiky golden chest. So he's also picked up power bracelets, which will be important later on. But something for Season 5 and in Wind Waker is we have chest type matches content, so CTMC for short. So whenever we see spiky chests like that, which are golden and has spikes sticking out of them, they generally contain something what we call progressive items. So something to help you progress through the game. Definitely something that we want to get if possible. Well, that does also mean that you'll see a lot of what we call brown chests everywhere. And then they would normally contain something miscellaneous or something we don't really need. So DJ is going towards, well, he was at Crescent. He's going back to Paw-Print. And Linamphi's at a location called Cliff Plateau. And so in this island, there's a secret cave entrance. So kind of like, a mini area to do things. And actually, this is where we see our first glitch in the game called storage. Linamphi did it first try, which is very, very impressive. Storage itself is quite complicated, but essentially, it allows the player to store cutscenes, which you're not meant to do. And with storage here, he just opened up the chest. So normally you would pick up the item in the chest, but with storage, it allows you to do some crazy, unbelievable things like that, where you can walk up walls. So he wasn't meant to be able to go through the walk up walls like that, but with chest storage, it allows him to. DJ, on the other hand, has gone back to Paw-Print, found his first sword. Paw-Print is pretty nice because there's a lot of chests here. There was a brown chest on DJ's side of things, so we avoided that as we don't need it. I haven't been tracking, so this is all going to be, I'm going to lose track of where these runs have been. So forgive me if I missed something. DJ has picked up something called the command melody. That's useful for some dungeons when we have a companion in them. Nothing important right now. Linamphi has headed towards Birdspeak Rock. We're going to see... So Linamphi did actually use chest storage again on Cliff Plateau, and he took it with him to another island. And then with chest storage, it allows him to walk through the grating on Birdspeak Rock and enter the secret cave. Yes, my apologies. There's just so much happening at the start of this game, so I am kind of struggling to explain everything. I hope I'm doing a good job. Savage, is everything? Am I doing okay? Do you think?
I think you're doing good so far. Of course, you are tossing us into the deep end of the water, so to speak. Sorry.
I'm so sorry, yeah.
No, but could you tell us a little bit about chest storage?
Yeah, okay, so storage itself is it's a weird bug where whenever Link tries to pull out the Wind Waker, the camera tries to center itself facing Link. But what we can do is, by what DJ is trying to do right now, if Link stands in a particular position where the camera isn't able to face towards Link, it instead forces Link to spin 180, and that actually causes him to fall down. So he's falling down holding the Wind Waker out. And due to some nuances in how the game works, if you cancel the Wind Waker by pressing B at a specific frame, we enable something called storage. And then that allows you to store the next event cutscene, basically. So what DJ just did with storage is open up the chest, and that enables something called chest storage, which in turn allows him to walk through things or walk up walls, that sort of thing. He did it again there. So we do it quite a lot in Wind Waker. We do allow glitches in Wind Waker compared to other Zelda speedruns. And chest storage is one of the main ones we use to get around things. So this is what essentially we're doing to break logic. So these are very unintended checks that we are doing in Wind Waker. Okay. So while that was happening, I have missed completely what Linamphi has been doing on the side. Linamphi is at DRC right now, while DJ is basically doing the checks that Lanfi has done previously. We have a very simple Wind Shrine check here on the Lanfi side by playing the Wind Requiem. And meanwhile, DJ is checking Bird Speak Rock. Okay, so I have a bit of time to probably talk about the settings used in this game. So we're using something called Season 5's rule set. So for those who aren't aware, we have regular tournaments every year, and as a community we decide kind of the general rule set that should be used for the tournaments. And so as the name suggests, this is our 5th season, so we've done this 5 times now. With Season 5 rule sets, we have let's see, what is the list? So we have something called race mode in Wind Waker, which I think is unique to Wind Waker compared to the 3D Zelda's games. In Wind Waker, there are 6 dungeons that you would normally have to defeat, but we have this settings called race mode where it limits the dungeon. It limits progressive items to a specific number of dungeons. So in Season 5, we set it to 3. And so what you may notice when we open up maps is that it highlights which dungeon has items that you want, that will have items that you need to get. Specifically at the end of the boss of those dungeons, it contains a Triforce Shard. But also throughout the dungeon itself will contain progressive items. Then we also have Puzzle Secret Caves, free gifts, miscellaneous, short side quests, mail, island puzzles. These are settings that are difficult to explain, so I won't go through them now, but these are just the additional settings. What actually we see right now is, from the Nanfi side, is that he's entering DRC, which is the first dungeon in the normal game as well. Whereas DJ Guapo is at Outset, and he's actually doing a mail check, which is one of the settings. So small keys are also randomized as well in dungeons, but specifically for the Nanfi side, that first chest will always contain a small key, because logically that's the only way to progress through this dungeon. There's no other chests available. However, later on you may find small keys in other locations that you wouldn't expect. Also in dungeons actually with CTMC, so we still get the golden spiky chests for progressive items. We also get the brown chests for miscellaneous items. But we also get kind of not brown chests, but I think they are shaped differently. They're kind of metallic, and they contain dungeon items. So they will either contain a small key or the big key, which is required to enter the final boss room. So in fact, in the Nanfi's screen right now, that's the dungeon chest, which will contain either small or big key. Okay, while that's happening, on DJ Guapo's side, he actually just performed another storage, and with the storage that he did, he stored Coral's text, which in turn can be used to perform door cancel. Now, door cancel is essentially an extreme version of chest storage. So chest storage allows you to kind of walk up walls and potentially walk through some things. With door cancel, you are able to basically clip through the ground or clip through walls. So he just did that so he could enter Jaboon's cave at the back of the island. Okay, and then the Nanfi's progressing through the dungeon, and DJ is gonna head towards Diamond Step. That's another huge block of information. Is there anything you want to share with us, Savage Octagon, while they're moving through the world?
Of course. If you want to get in those bids for those incentives, again, for our Metroid Dread Randomizer, you'll be able to bid for the suit that Samus is going to wear. And later on in Final Fantasy VI, you can decide if you want to save Grandpa or, you know, just let him go. So please, I didn't want to say kill him, but, you know, whatever. So please donate to those incentives.
Cool. Thank you. So, see, what else can I talk about while they're in the dungeons? Or I can talk about the dungeons themselves. Let's see. So I can explain what's happening right now. So Nanfi is progressing through DRC, what we typically call the normal way. There are ways to kind of go through the dungeon backwards-ish if you had the right items. But it's a unique race, I would say, because some runners like to go into dungeons first to pick up the items there. As you expect from dungeons, they are quite condensed with chests, and more chests means more potential progressive items that you require. Whereas some other runners would like to do the overworld checks, which is what DJ is doing right now. And then enter dungeons later on. Something that Lanamphy needs to find in order to defeat the final boss of this dungeon is the grapple hook. So if Lanamphy is not unable to find the grapple hook, then he will have to leave and find in the overworld. Whereas if DJ finds it, oh, he did. Oh, they both found it. Okay, I completely missed that. So Lanamphy should be able to stay inside DLC, and DJ will eventually enter when he feels like it. DJ is actually on Diamond Step. I completely missed that. He did a trick. Well, he did multiple tricks to get here. He did this trick where outside with the octopus that you normally need bombs or bow or boomerang to get to defeat. We also just found bow here. There's a lot of things happening as always while I'm trying to explain. Bows. Actually, I should talk about the goals of this game. So in order to defeat to beat this game, to beat the randomizer, you need 8 Triforce shards, you need to pick up 3 swords, you need to pick up 3 bows, and those bows progressively give you the bow itself, and then we have fire and ice combined together, and then light arrows. So you need to find both 3 times. You need a shield as well to defeat Ganon. I think they both have a shield already, and they need hookshot to get to Ganon at the top of the tower. So those are the things we're aiming for. The 8 shards is usually the hard ones. So as I mentioned earlier with race mode settings, it designates 3 dungeons to always contain something. And then, so for those 3 dungeons, at the end of them, after fighting the boss, they will produce a shard. So they will guarantee you 3 shards in total. However, the rest, 5 of them, the rest of, there's 8 in total, are somewhere in the overworld. And so you do have to kind of find them eventually. Okay. So, Lanamphy's about halfway through dungeon now. DJ is now doing Bomb Island. So they both have bombs, I believe. Oh, DJ has bombs. Something that I forgot to mention with these settings is that we also start with a random item. Something that's really nice given to them is Leaf. Leaf is quite very useful, actually. It helps you get to a lot of different places really easily. So there, Lanamphy just used it. And Lanamphy using the power bracelets to get rid of these boulders. You can also use bombs to get rid of them. But Lanamphy found power bracelets earlier. I believe DJ just found the shield, so I don't believe they started with shield. So you do just need at least one. There are 2 versions of the shield. The first version is just a normal shield, whereas the second version is the mirror shield. The mirror shield is required for Earth Temple, which is quite a difficult dungeon. I'll talk about it later when we do go towards it, but you do need a mirror shield for that. Lanamphy did notice that this particular chest was golden and spiky, so he is trying to go through this is the mini boss battle. And then DJ has just finished Bomb Island and going towards Cabana. Something these runners didn't do, I believe, is go to Windfall. We have an island called Windfall, which they'll definitely end up at, which contains quite a lot of checks. So it's usually kind of like the main hub of Wind Waker. But I'm guessing they both did not want to go there, so we'll leave that alone. So Lanamphy here is again setting up storage. There, you got it there straight away. Again, he's doing chest storage, and with chest storage, he's basically walking through the corner of the map. You can't, with chest storage, you can't walk perpendicular to a wall and clip through. It has to be sharp angles. And the reason he did that is so that he would spawn at. So when you fall out of bounds in Zelda, it puts you back at where you entered the room, and where he entered the room is essentially where he wanted to be because he wanted to go backwards. So there's one more check for the Namphy that you can do in this dungeon. DJ just found something called Tingle Statues. So Tingle Statues are kind of good, kind of bad. You get an item after finding 5 of them. And as with randomizers, they can sometimes contain something progressive and sometimes nothing useful. So yeah, it's hard to say if we do need that or not. And then that's a brown chest on the Namphy side. Okay. See, I believe this might be a good time to talk about chest storage in more detail. So I mentioned earlier that chest storage grants you the ability to do walk up walls or do unexpected things. However, the idea behind chest storage is that it stores the cutscene of you receiving the items. And in fact, in vanilla Wind Waker, what typically happens is that the screen turns dark and you're unable to see things. And that's just in the cutscene, it kind of makes this glowing effect of you opening up the chest. However, in Randomizer, because we do it so many times, I don't know the exact reason why we fixed it, but essentially that doesn't happen. And so when we get chest storage, we're able to see and walk around and everything. But what it means is that because we stored the cutscene of us picking up the item, we don't actually receive that item until we enter a loading transitional screen. So either we, whenever you see the fade out to black, that's a new loading zone. When that happens, we receive the item. We also receive the item when we enter a new sector on the overworld as well. So you have to kind of think about, keep track of what items you may have received and remember that you did store something. One of the consequences of you picking up the item later is that if you were to decide to reset the game, what could happen is that that item you stored can be given to the link on the title screen, and then you essentially lose that item forever. So you don't want to save and quit. Essentially, if you do have chest storage, you have to figure out a way to receive the item and then save, or go through a transitional load screen and save. So that's something you have to be very careful of, and hopefully our runners won't do that today. It does happen to seasonal runners before when they forget, but I'm sure they'll both be fine. So Namphy actually just did chest storage again to fall through the gap on the left, and there's actually a gap between the door and the wall, and he basically just hopped through. And this is our first boss. This is Goma. This is the same dungeon that DJ's in, and DJ's doing right now. So DJ is actually trying to go backwards in DLC. So earlier the Namphy was progressing how you would normally progress through the dungeon, but because DJ found the bow, he's actually able to shoot down these 3 ropes holding onto this platform at the top of the dungeon. And so unfortunately with the model that he has, it contains a kind of a custom bow model. So he's kind of struggling lining up where to aim for in order to shoot the rope. Well, we got one of them. That's good. There's no arrow refills in this dungeon, so if he fails to get the platform down, he has to... Well, if he wants to try again, he has to save and quit. But I think he's got 2 of them, so it's the 3rd one now. Yeah. Oh, and he's got it. Great. So that allows him to basically go backwards. There's a section outside the map of this dungeon, where you kind of go along the outside of the tower, the volcano, which is particularly slow if you go upwards. However, if you're going downwards, you can just jump down, essentially, and it saves a lot of time. So having that platform will let him catch up to the Namphy pretty quickly. And meanwhile, the Namphy is taking care of Goma. So there's two phases to Goma. There's the tail phase where he was grappling onto the tail of the dragon sitting at the top. I can't remember his name. And then once he breaks the shell of Goma, he attacks the eyes, and that's the first dungeon boss completed for the Namphy. So yeah, pretty quick to completion.
Can I ask a question about the normal speedrunning techniques that I may be seeing?
Yeah, sure. I'm not a speedrunner of this game in vanilla, so I might not be able to answer it, but maybe.
No worries. So, in Wind Waker, one of the things that was tough for me as a vanilla player was spending so much time on the sea, and I just noticed that they are going really fast through it.
Yes.
Is that a button mashing technique, or is that something they're abusing?
Yep. No, that's a really good question. I completely glossed over this. So, yes, the sailing in vanilla Wind Waker is very painful. If you play vanilla, you have to set the wind, and then you have a very slow sail as well, and it's horrible. Thankfully, with the randomizer, you start with something called swift sail, so that gives you. I'm not sure what the multiplier is, but it's very fast. And then what you'll notice our runners do as they're sailing is either sail pumping or sail jumping. So sail pumping is the idea of putting your sail away and then pulling it back out. What you'll notice is that as you pull out the sail, it gives you kind of like a very small mini boost forward. And so sail pumping is the idea of just continually getting that mini boost over and over again. The Namphy is doing something called super swim. So if you're sensitive to flashing images, please turn away. I wasn't aware that the Namphy is going to do a super swim here. So yeah, please turn away if you are sensitive to flashing images. He has finished it now. So, well, okay, he's ended up in the wrong location, so he's going to do it again. So please continue to avoid. Please don't watch if you are sensitive to flashing images. Okay. So what the Namphy is doing right now. So I'm interrupting the other explanation with this explanation. So sorry.
No worries.
This explanation is for super swimming. Again, using storage to lock the camera. So what happened is that he got storage and pulled out the Wind Waker again, and by pulling it out again, it locks the camera in front of Link's face. And so what you can do is by entering the sea. For some reason, when Link does a 180 in the sea, or I don't really know the exact mechanics behind it, he gains speeds going backward, and so with the camera locking constantly in front of him, he's able to constantly do a 180 repeatedly and gain a huge amount of speed, which allows him to essentially swim across the sea. He is limited by the amount of air he has, but he decided to essentially super swim from DRC to Pauperant. And that's why there's flashing images, because the camera is constantly Link is constantly going 180 back and forth. So it can be quite disturbing to see. He's done now, so you can watch him. Okay, and he's at Pauperant, and DJ's still in DRC. Okay, sorry about that. So sail pumping. Back to the sail, our lovely sail on the boat. So I think the Namphy might be showing it when he gets onto his boat. But yeah, so sail pumping, when you pull out the sail, he gets a small amount of speed forward. Oh, he's warping away. Sail jumping is by pulling out the sail and then jumping at the same time. I believe when you jump, it conserves the speed while you're in midair. And so by sail pumping and then jumping at the same time, you just gain further speed or further distance every jump. And so it speeds up traveling a bit more. But sail pumping is kind of the key mechanic that all the runners will do. Especially with the swift sail. Sail pumping does exist in vanilla Wind Waker, but I believe it's still pretty slow. Whereas with the swift sail, it's significantly faster, and then couple that with sail jumping, it's even better. Okay, Lanamphi's on Windfall. So this is the island that I mentioned earlier about how it contains a huge amount of checks that they can do. It also contains, I guess, mini games. I guess there's a hide and seek mini game that we have to do to get an item at the end. Lanamphi right now is rescuing our favorite character of the game, Tingle, our Mr. Tingle, Mr. Green Fairy Tingle. Yeah, he's great because he gives us 2 items, 2 free items immediately. The first one being a joy pendant, which we don't need for this randomizer. At the back of his jail cell, he also gave the Tingle Tuner. So Tingle Tuner again doesn't provide any use in randomizer. You can technically use the Tingle Tuner, but generally we don't. For those unaware, Tingle Tuner allows you to use a GBA adapter and your Game Boy Advance to interact with the game and provide some benefits. But we don't typically do that in randomizer. I think sometimes it might even be banned in races as well. But yeah, it does exist. The Lanamphi did a quick peek out of bounds by pushing the camera outside the wall. And then he noticed that at the back of the jail cell is a spiky chest, which will contain a progressive item. So now we're going to the jail cell maze to get there. And it's iron boots. So something I glossed over again is because we have race mode on, we know which dungeons we need to go to. In this case, it's DRC, which both runners have. Well, DJ's doing it right now, but then he's finished. We know the second dungeon will be Forsaken Fortress, which contains Helmarok, the big bird. And then we also have Earth Temple, which does require the mirror shield that I mentioned earlier. So yeah, with iron boots, we know we won't really require because that's usually needed for Wind Temple. And also, I just noticed right now, both runners have picked up 1 sword. So you notice that the sword icon B is the Master Sword now. Lanamphi got storage earlier, and he's doing something called door cancel. So you do the storage first at the start, and what you can do is do something called text storage, where you store the King of Red Lion's text, and then you take that to a door, and by timing it correctly, you can do something called door cancel. This is something that DJ did on Outset as well. The difference is that DJ was essentially in the dark for the entire period he had door cancel. But what you can do is that with door cancel, if you trigger another cutscene, which is in Lanamphi's case played hide and seek, he's essentially able to, in quotes, turn on the lights. He's able to see again, see the game. So that's what he's done. So right now Lanamphi does have door cancel, which allows him to do some unique things. This is our trusty friend Tot on Lanamphi's side, who's generously gave us 500 rupees, which is really nice. And then this is one of the hide and seek characters. I have no idea what the individual names are, unfortunately, but we do have to find, I think it's 4 of them. So that's what he's doing right now. And that's an example of what happens with door cancel on the Lanamphi's side. He jumped down, and sometimes you can fall through the floor. Yeah, it can be a bit awkward. It does definitely allow him to walk through walls like he did there. He jumped through the wall there, jumped through the corner. But yeah, sometimes when you jump down from high up, you do just kind of go through the ground, which is pretty funny. So you'll actually see why we do a door cancel here. It's a typical route that we do with door cancel. There's an example of him walking up the wall quite sharply. Allows us to get to this. I think it's the last kid. Oh no, there's one more stuck in a tree as well. Meanwhile, DJ is on Goma, so just finishing off DRC. So what Ananthi's going to do right now is get to Lenzo's house. So Lenzo's house contains 2 chests. With door cancel, he's able to walk up the wall there, and then once he's on the wall, he's walking up the side of the tree, and then once he gets onto the balcony, he walks through the door into the loading zone into Lenzo's house. So in order to get into this house the normal way, you would normally need to use the Ferris wheel or leaf to get across. You also need the picto box because the door upstairs is typically locked until you talk to Lenzo inside the house. But because of door cancel, he was able to walk through the door and get to the loading zone. And actually found a hookshot. The hookshot is you do need it to defeat Ganon, so it's important, and it does help in some locations. This is also the final character for hide and seek that Lananthi needs to tag. Ooh. Okay, cool. And then at the same time, DJ is finishing off Goma and picking up the shard. So Lananthi's picked up the pearl. We don't need the pearls in this run because normally you need 3 pearls to access Tower of the Gods, or as we call Tot G. But we know that's not a dungeon required today. He's also picked up the Picto Box. So when you do hide and seek, you get 2 rewards: one from the kids, and one from the teacher. DJ, that was an example on DJ's side, the shards that you may find. So that was, we knew that was going to be given from Goma. So unfortunately for Lananthi, because he's found Picto Box, there's also a picture that you need to take at Lenzo's house. That also gives access another check. So he actually needs to get back into that room again. And so this is a kind of the normal way of how you would normally get up there. You can either use the leaf or the Ferris wheel, but in this case you can use the leaf. He had to talk to Lenzo's first in order to unlock the door. But now with leaf, he's going to glide across. And the door shall be open. So it's a bit of backtracking, I guess, or doing the same thing again. So he didn't necessarily need to do the door cancel, but it was fun to see. Okay. Oof. Yeah, so probably another good time to take a break from my ranting. Is there anything you'd like to share with Savage Octagon?
Of course. For those of you who are just joining us, this is the Randothon Randomizers for Mental Health, benefiting NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. This is Randomania's first event for charity, so very exciting, although I think it is their 7th overall. But all of your donations go straight to NAMI, and NAMI is a fantastic organization that shapes national public policy for people with mental illness and their families, and provides volunteer leaders with the tools, resources, and skills necessary to save mental health in all states. So all of your donations during the next couple of runs go towards them. You only have a couple more hours to do that. We've got a Metroid Dread run, My Dr. Mario run, and Final Fantasy 4 and 6 runs. So please get your donations in.
Cool. So, let's see. So on Lananthi side, back to the game where you have Lananthi. So he took a picture when he was in Lenzo's house. This sneaky picture, which I guess he's spreading gossip, which isn't great. But these 2 characters require that picture, and he got a heart piece for that. He also found the deluxe Picto Box, and that's special because it takes pictures in colors. But also, we need to show it to this character here. We will give another item, the bait bag. Bait bag is a progressive item, as it does allow you to do more checks. So we'll see him use it later on. On DJ's side, we're talking to Cyclops. So Cyclops in the vanilla game is what gives you access to the warping ability in Wind Waker. You do need the bow to hit him 3 times, and he'll concede and give you the warp song. But in this case, he'll give you another item. So we'll see what he'll give there. the Nanfis on outset. I believe DJ was here at the start of the run, so I think both runners are probably going to be treading on each other's toes a bit, doing the same things that they found earlier on. DJ finding the mirror shield, which is important as we do need to use that to get to ET properly. The Nanfis here is actually setting up something called a roll clip. So how roll clips work is that when Link pulls himself up, he kind of pulls himself into the wall. So you have to situate yourself kind of right at the corner and pull yourself up. And for a few frames, because you're in the wall, you're able to perform a roll and essentially roll out of bounds and roll into the building. So he did a roll clip, rolled into the building, and then just jumped into the loading zone to get into that house. For that house particularly, you need to... Generally, it just needs to be nighttime, but runners will do it during the day because transitioning to night can take some time. So we might just do it here as well. And here, so actually, something we saw also on the Nanfi side is because he has the bait bag, he's able to buy the bait and the pear. So the bait is what we'll use for our favorite animal, which we'll see in a second, and the pear allows you to basically control a bird. And so with the bird, by controlling a bird, you're able to pick up items or hit kind of switches in the overworld. So we'll see that in a second. But first we have to look underneath Link's house, because there is a chest there. It's a brown chest. Whereas DJ is currently on Angular. And I can see a progressive item on the top. So. Okay, so Lenenfi's going to do another roll clip first. So this roll clip is more awkward, as if you're not careful, you can jump into the loading zone of the house. Whereas what we want to do is fall through the ground. So this is getting to the location that DJ did earlier, where DJ decided to do a door cancel, and so he had a white screen on his side and walk through the ground and into Javelin's cave. There's basically a cave behind this island that you usually have to use bombs to get into, but either using door cancel that DJ did, or whatever what the Nanfi's doing right now with the roll clip. Oh, there you got it. He's able to go into the loading zone without having to blow down the ice wall with bombs, which is what he's doing right now. But of course, we know from DJ's side that Jabrin's cave is empty, so we'll be leaving there immediately. DJ, on the other hand, has found another item on Great Fish Owl, so you just need Leaf to get to this chest. I'm hoping the Nanfi's gonna do the big pig check. And he's checking his mail first. So mail is one of the settings for Season 5. Every mail that we get could be a potential progressive item. In this case, it's a shield, which is good. Do you need it? Yeah. And I think he is doing the big pig check. So this is our... it's a big pig, as you can see. So yeah, it's a big pig check. You need power bracelets to pick him up. And this is something called... I forgot what this trick is called, but you'll see something that... You'll see this, so he's prepping himself up. And there he just threw them across the island. So that doesn't normally happen. But there's I remember now. It's a skew that you can get on the pig itself by positioning the pig between the guardrail and the NPC character. And when you pick him back up, for some reason, he gets, in quotes, skewed. And if you toss the pig, it just launches really far into a certain direction. We need to get the pig over to this side and then use the bait to get an item. The Nanfi probably not happy to get a Tingle statue from that, because again, Tingle statues can either be good or bad, but it's not really great. Doing it the vanilla way can be quite slow, because walking with a pig over your shoulder is extremely slow. There are also other ways to kind of push them across, but the quickest way is to get the skew and launch the pig across the other side of the island.
I'm sorry, how do people figure out how to do
Yeah.
these things? Like,
It's it's a very weird one. Definitely for sure. I don't know who found it, but yeah, it's something that's stuck around for a long time, and yeah, it's always great to see. Yeah, one of my favorite checks for sure. Okay, so you'll see some of our runners do save and quitting to kind of get back to our original locations. We do have sometimes called death warps as well, where they purposely reduce the health back to down to zero and get a game over in order to go back to a previous location while saving their stats. In this case, Lanfi just did the saving, or he did a quit in that location instance, but he did save on the island and then travel somewhere far to check another location. But because that location didn't give anything useful, he decided to just quit and return back to the island to get to Diamond Step on to do another check. So what Lanfi just did there, that's again that's a kind of a bug, a glitch. So in the vanilla game, the Octo would kind of suck you in and put you in a loop around the Octo, and then you would have to, destroy the Octo essentially with either bombs or arrows of boomerang. But if the Octo, so usually towards the end of the loop, if you get close to the Octo, he'll suck you in and then launch you to a random location. But what you can do is by jumping directly into the center, and with enough, which you can't do in vanilla because you don't have enough speed, but because we have the swift sail and you can jump into the middle of the swell, and then the game doesn't really know what to do with you, and so it puts you onto the nearest island, and that nearest island is Diamond Step. He also just did another glitch here, which I don't know what the name is, but by placing a bomb in a specific location, it pushes you into the wall, and then you can just use hookshot to clip through and hook onto a chest. So that was a faster way of doing this area compared to what DJ had to do earlier, which was just progress through normally. Okay. So we have 2 shards on the Lanfi side. So just to reiterate on the goals, we want 8 shards. So we know that 3 of them are on bosses. Oh, actually, the Lanfi is doing another super swim. So if you are sensitive to flashing images, please turn away again. So yeah, I'll wait until he's finished and before resuming. So with enough speed, what the Lanfi wants to do is he wants to enter a location called Islet of Steel. You have to position your character so you're facing the opposite direction of where you want to go, because essentially you're going backwards. What just happened there, which is funny, he didn't get to Isle of Steel, but he went to Needle Rock Point because the game was loading up the island and he was going very quickly. He went through the island, and so he had to do a circle around. You can watch the stream now as he's done the super swimming. Okay, so he actually just used the pair as well. So the pair item, which requires the bait bag, allows you to control the bird. There's a specific switch that we need to activate here to get another check. He has to be careful. He has to be careful because of the other birds flying around, which will attack you. And then that switch allows you to access this chest. And he got delivery bag, which is great. I think he might have picked up some mails early on. Okay, so yeah, before I get interrupted, in terms of goals that we want at the end of this game, we need 8 Triforce shards. We have 2 of them already on Lanfi's side. We got 1 of them from a dungeon boss, and we know that 2 of the dungeons will contain another shard, 2 shards. So that means he must have found 1 overworld shard somewhere. So he needs to find 4 more anywhere in the game. He has Both runners need to find the fully powered Master Sword. So that's 3 swords in total. I think both runners have found 1 so far. So they both need to find an additional 2 more. They also need to find the light arrows. So in order to find light arrows, you need to find bow 3 times in total. I think both runners have found bow, the first bow already. So they need to find bow 2 more times. And then they also need hookshot, which I know Lanamphy has. And then also shield, which they both have. So right now we're aiming to basically be able to complete the 2 dungeons that we know we have to do, which is Helmarok and Forsaken Fortress and Earth Temple. To do Forsaken Fortress, you do need Skullhammer, and to do Earth Temple, you need Command Melody, which I think DJ found earlier on. You need a Mirror Shield. You need Power Bracelets. I think that's it, really. I think maybe, depending on how. So ET is quite difficult to explain, and I'll talk about when I have more time later. But there's a lot of different ways essentially to do ET, and depending on how you do it, you may or may not require certain things. And it also depends on the checks you find there. So, yeah. Lanamphy is actually doing more checks on Windfall because he found the delivery bag. Throughout the game, you can find mail that you need to deliver, but in order to deliver it, you need a delivery bag. So now that he's found delivery bag, he's able to send those mails essentially. And he sent one off, and he's going to send another one off. And these are kind of the steps in order to trigger the corresponding cutscenes to get the item at the end. So this is a cutscene on. So because Lanamphy sent something called Maggie's Mail, it triggers this cutscene inside this room. After which he'll need to go to the cafe and pick up an item. At the same time, he also has something called Moblin's Mail. Moblin's Mail you can give to Maggie. Maggie is this character here on the Lanamphy screen. There's a whole story surrounding her, which I won't go about now, but she does give us the Skullhammer, which is, I guess, kind of ironic. But that's an item we definitely need in order to do Forsaken Fortress. So I think on the Lanamphy side, he'll probably head towards Forsaken Fortress. Meanwhile, DJ is in the same vicinity, but they can't see each other. DJ is doing checks that Lanamphy did previously. Got the heart there. And on Lanamphy's side, this is the cafe bar. So this is where, because of triggering that cutscene earlier on, he's able to receive this check, which is Fire and Ice. So Fire and Ice is bow number 2. I think this is different to other Zelda games, but it always goes plain bow first, and then you're always guaranteed to find ice arrows afterwards, and then after that you find light arrows. With Fire and Ice, it enables a few more checks as well. And with light arrows, well, in vanilla, you only receive light arrows at the end of the game. So if you take light arrows outside of the final dungeon, it can be quite powerful. Essentially, it can one hit all enemies. So it's pretty great to find that early on. So the Lanamphy just basically triggered the windmill to make it spin. You do need to make a spin in order for some more additional checks. Luckily, he found a Fire and Ice arrows here because he can do all these checks in the same location, which is what he's going to do right now. DJ, however, is whisking away to Outset again. Probably to... so DJ has been to Outset earlier, but I think that he found Bait Bag, for example, which is probably what he's going to aim for. So this is Lanamphy's side. This is the lighthouse checks. You need to... So this is great because it gives you 2 items. It spawns one here, and with this one we can see clearly that it's a brown chest, so we don't need to get that one. But this is Creed. Let's say hello to Creed. He also gives an item. in this case, a heart piece. A lot of people have mixed feelings about Creed, which is why Nananthi's not happy. He's notorious for never giving anything useful, I guess, because he's quite what we call a late check. You need fire and ice to get to him, and he's quite it's quite long-winded to get to him. So yeah, pretty funny. DJ here is doing the big pig throw again. So if you missed it the first time, here it is again. There he goes. And then Nananthi's doing cyclist check. Cool. Yeah, I think this is another good time. If you have anything you want to share, Savage Octagon.
Excellent, excellent. So, for those of you who are joining us, we've got some great incentives that will apply to our future runs. So, of course, our Metroid Dread Randomizer coming up. If you'd like a special fashion show, if you're enjoying what you see on DJ Guapo's side, you can actually select the suit that Samus will wear, as opposed to him selecting the suit that Link will wear. And eventually, you will be able to select the music that will be used for Dr. Mario. That would be my run. You can be on Team Fever or Team Chill. And with the Final Fantasy VI run, you can decide whether to save the grandfather or let the grandfather suffer his fate. So if those options are exciting to you, please feel free to donate. All donations go to NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Can I ask a general question about the randomizer seeds?
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Are there any types of things that we would be looking out for that would make a seed much more difficult than another one in terms of the checks and things like that?
Yeah, so with season 5, the community the settings that we chose as a community are pretty not difficult, but can also be not easy. So it's a nice balance. There are some settings that are extremely difficult. If you remember for example, from the vanilla game, with the tree kind of puzzle goal that you had to do, where you had to take forest water from Forest Haven and take it to a number of islands to help the poor trees grow. That can also be a check. There's also a trading quest check as well that can be difficult. We have spoils check as well. So you may have seen like green chew jelly or the joy pendant or the skull necklace. There's also a check on receiving 20 or something, like a number of them given to an NPC. So those checks also exist. The only one that people are probably thinking about is the taking a picture one, where you're supposed to take pictures of everything. That's not in this game, thankfully. And I doubt that will ever be implemented. So yeah, there are quite a lot of settings for Wind Waker, and we're only showing kind of a small slice of it. I think in general, though, dungeons will always be enabled in some fashion, and probably the most difficult dungeon of the game is Earth Temple, which we'll talk about later, and that's mainly due to not execution complexity, but routing complexity can be quite tricky, because there's so many things you can do in Earth Temple that, depending on how you want to go through, or how early you go through, or what items you have, it can be very difficult to route. Whereas, for example, DRC, generally you either go backwards or you don't, or the other dungeons, they're quite set. Like, there's only a few ways you can do it differently. So Earth Temple is probably the scarier one for new runners, at least. It takes a while to get used to. Okay, speaking of dungeons, Nananthi's at the second dungeon. It may not look like one, because it's in the overworld, but this is a Forsaken Fortress. So he's actually doing chest storage here, which is another variant of how we get storage. So our runners have been doing something called dry storage, where you stand in a particular location and you fall down a cliff essentially, or you fall down the edge. In this case, by placing a bomb on the chest and standing on a particular location, you can do the same thing. And this is called chest storage because you're getting storage off the chest. It's very takes some practice to do, but it's also really handy because you essentially get storage anywhere there's a chest, and because there's a chest, you can store the chest content and allow you to walk up walls like that and go through walls. And here we are, Halmarok. So this is the boss of this dungeon. So he will provide a shard. Halmarok is one of the unique bosses that we have out of all of them because he's essentially the only one that we can do a glitch on, which we'll see in a second. The problem is that once we do the glitch, there's a possibility of soft locking the game due to how he behaves. And funnily enough, Lananthe is quite notorious for soft locking quite a lot. So hopefully he'll have better luck today than usual, because it can be quite annoying to do this whole setup process again, and it does take up a lot of time. So here we are doing storage. So we got storage there, and then what we want to do is with the storage, we essentially store the cutscene. So right now we've stored the cutscene. Lananthe's able to walk around, and in fact typically you would be forced to stand on the top where the closing circle is coming from, but because we were able to move around, we forced ourselves to go inside the tower. And once this cutscene ends, what we do is we want to stand in a particular location, which is on top of the jail cell. And this is the scary part where we could soft lock. So we want Halmarok to land inside the tower like that. Okay, this is great. So because he landed in the tower, he wants to attack you with his beak on ground level, but because you're on the jail cell, he's never able to get to you, and so he's stuck perpetually walking forward towards you. And because of that, you're able to hit his head with a skull hammer, which is how you defeat the boss. And so we're able to cut this boss down really quickly. The soft locking aspect is that sometimes he doesn't want to land inside the tower, and he gets stuck on the outside essentially, and at a point you would have to reset. And then in the vanilla game, the reason why we do this is because in the vanilla game, you're standing on top of the tower like he is right now, and every time I believe you attack Halmarok, he'll just fly away again, and I think it's complete RNG of when he'll come back down and when he'll attack you and when you're able to attack him. So it's very RNG heavy, random number generated heavy. It's very random essentially. And so this is the only boss we glitch, I believe, in this game. The other bosses don't really have anything that we could use. But thankfully, yeah, it's the best boss to have something to work with. Okay, where are we at? So Lananthe has done his second dungeon now. I'm not sure if he did all the checks, but he left, so he must have. And he's going towards Cabana, Tower of the Gods, and DJ is on Forbidden Woods. Sorry, Forest Haven. Forbidden Woods is the dungeon inside Forest Haven, but he's going towards Ice Ring. So yeah, DJ did find fire and ice arrows. Lananthe is doing another storage trick again. So in order to Lananthe is at a location called Cabana, and there's this house. You usually need Cabana D to get inside, but what we can do is with chest storage again. So he's storing this chest. He's able to clip inside into the loading zone by using hookshot. So what you can do is, there's the butler that you would normally need to talk to. There's a tree on the other side of the house, and with hookshot, you're able to just hook onto the tree and get inside. Oh, he did have Cabana Deed, which is funny because that's what you needed to get inside. So he didn't need to do all that. Something funny with chest storage is that a lot of there's times where you stored an item that until you level transition you wouldn't get, but the item you stored is what you needed to do it the intended way. So for example, I'm not sure if the chest he stored earlier was Cabana Deed or not, but it could have been Cabana Deed, and if he just opened the chest normally, he wouldn't have needed to do storage and he wouldn't have needed to go inside the cabana. And on DJ's side, we just found light arrows, which is always really nice to find early, as it can help a lot with enemies. That's the final upgrade for the bow. So that's finding it after the fire and ice. So Lananthi's still in Cabana, but he's inside the underground labyrinth of Cabana. With Skullhammer, he was able to get past these gratings because for some reason Skullhammer can hit through walls at certain angles. So he just did that earlier to open up the gates. With hook shots, if you clip your camera out of bounds, you're able to shoot out of bounds, and so he hook shotted the ladder. He also saw that the chest was a brown chest, so he decided to save and quit. Again, both runners are at the same location. I believe Lananthi's going to do mail check. Yep. So he has a note to mom, which we has to deliver, and at least another check. DJ doing it in a non-storage way. He just shared a Cabana Deed, and then inside we go. Just a quick note about Cabana. You also need grapple hook to enter the labyrinth. There's been a few instances where players would enter Cabana, do all the setups, do door storage or chest storage or whatnot to get inside, but then forget they need grapple to actually enter the labyrinth. So something you have to always be aware of. And DJ is showing an example of what the Skullhammer can do in this area. He's essentially smacking a peg on the other side of the wall, and then just opening up the gratings. Whereas normally you would have to go through the labyrinth, the usual path, and then hit the peg. But we do it twice here, and it saves a lot of time. That doesn't mean you don't necessarily need the Skullhammer to enter the labyrinth, but it can be slow. It's definitely slower without it. Okay. So Lananthi is now going to Ice Ring. Yep. So yeah, this happens a lot. Both runners are just doing the same thing, but in opposite order. Okay. All right. Yeah, another good time for any anything you want to share, Savvy, or any questions that you had.
Oh, sure. I'm just going to give an announcement about this marathon. And this is the sixth event from Randomania, but the first one to focus on a charity. And it's in honor of one of Randomania's former administrators, OPT lawyer, who very much cared about mental health. And so Randomania is supporting NAMI in his honor. And again, NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness, which believes in a diverse, inclusive, and equitable organization or alliance, one where all employees, volunteers, and members, regardless of gender, race, gender identity, ethnicity, national origin, age, sexual orientation, education, disability, veteran status, or other dimension of diversity, feel valued and respected. They are committed to a non-discriminatory approach and to providing equal opportunity for employment, participation, and advancement in all programs and work sites. So this is a really valuable organization that does great work across the country. And it's really great to be able to celebrate this organization through video games, which I think bring us all a lot of joy and community. And so it feels great to celebrate in this way and honor the Randomania administrator. So first of all, I'd love for you all to donate. and we've got some great incentives coming up later. I gave Cole for an opportunity to hydrate if he so needed to. And so, have we missed anything?
So nothing. I wouldn't say anything too exciting. So DJ has entered Neither Rock Cave, so he needed fire arrows to enter this secret cave, and there is a spiky chest here, which will give us the boomerang. Logically, you do need the boomerang in order to defeat Ganon or Puppet Ganon at the end of the game. But as we're speedrunners, you don't necessarily need it. There are other ways to get around it. So it is useful to have, for sure, as it can target kind of the flying enemies that can be quite annoying to deal with. But so DJ is now actually entering Forsaken Fortress. So following on to Lananthi's steps. Again, I hope he'll have a good Helmarok fight. There's always the chance of soft locking, and it does cost a lot of time. So hopefully he'll be fine. But I think in general they are just clearing the overworld. I could probably talk about what sort of glitches are allowed in our races. So yeah, we do. Storage does appear to be game breaking in some ways, but it is a valid glitches during our races, in our seasons. It does help. It does a lot of sequence breaking, as you can see, but it doesn't necessarily break the game substantially enough to say it's like overpowered in any ways. And also, is with enough practice, all runners can do it. So it's not something we want to restrict. However, there are some glitches in Wind Waker that recently came out. I mean, the infamous barrier skip, for example, is well known. So if you're unaware, there is a barrier surrounding Hyrule, and typically you would need the Master Sword to get through. But you know, thanks to some very smart people in the community, they found ways to get around it. But for randomizers, we do not allow barrier skips. There's also Puppet Ganon skip to skip the boss battle. Salvage item manipulation, which was discovered recently. I can't remember the technical details behind that. And then there's also fairy item duplication and back in time. So you might have heard back in time for Skyward Sword. We do actually have that in Wind Waker, but it doesn't actually provide anything useful when running this game. So it's on our list of banned glitches. So DJ is just the chest storage strat that Lanafi just did. With chest storage, you have to be careful when you're in water because you can't grab onto ledges. But luckily, if there are kind of rocks pointing out of the sea, you're able to kind of clip your way back in, which is just there. And this is just another route to get up the walls. Yeah, it's a really fun storage trick to get into Helmarok. And there we are. The Namphy is on Fire Mountain. Fire Mountain is well, there's a love it and hate it side of the community for this track because it is quite long-winded and you do only get one item at the end of it. And you don't get to see what the chest is until you progress all the way to the end. So it's yeah, it's always a fun location to talk about with the community, but it's not difficult to get to. You just need ice arrows, and then you just have to jump up and go through it. There are some ways to kind of make it quicker, so you can stand on this wall portion of the area. You have to be careful of the bats, or what we call the keys. If they touch you while you're leaping across, it will kind of launch you into the lava, and then it resets the whole room. So you have to be careful. Meanwhile, DJ just did a quick storage, and he's doing the strategy that Lanamphy did earlier. So we'll find out if Helmarok or soft lock in a bit. The Namphy not happy with the brown chest he discovered at Fire Mountain and has just decided to save and quit. I like how Cloud is giving a very grumpy face naturally. Interesting to see as well. So DJ's waiting for the Helmarock, or the bird as we shorten it to. Oh, there he goes. Okay, good. So yeah, that's what we want. We want him to land in the middle, and then DJ is able to attack him properly. And it looks like Lenamfi is heading towards Earth Temple. This compass is the compass is quite funny in Wind Waker because I think it behaves differently to what you would expect a normal compass to do, as it orientates itself towards the King of Red Lines. But I think there is a settings in the randomizer to alter it. So yeah, Lenamfi is going to enter Earth Temple, which we can talk about in a second. While DJ has finished Helmarock, that's his second dungeon, and all is good. No soft locking for both runners, which is great to see. So I think they both had the same amount of shards. So I'm not sure what checks DJ has done. So I'm not sure when he'll enter ET. Hopefully soon. We actually see our first companion as well on the Namphy side. This is Medley. If you weren't aware, Wind Temple has Makar, as we call the little onion boy, and Medley is just Medley. So there's two camps. There's people who like Makar more, there's people who like Medley more. Take your pick. Namphy was actually doing something called leaf pumping. So leaf pumping is a strat you can do with the leaf where it allows you to preserve height. Specifically, you have to put away the leaf and then pull out the leaf again. And it will, I think it gives you, I'm not sure if it gives you a little height bump, but it is able to preserve the height. This is different to just pressing the leaf button again once you pull it out, as it doesn't do the little oomph that you get when you pull out the leaf. So it's quite tricky to do. It requires a bit of practice, but with it you're able to preserve height while gliding. So Medley's, you need command melody to control Medley. So luckily both runners do you have that. And then this is where in ET this is where it kind of gets very kind of tricky in terms of routing, because ET itself is quite it's quite spread out. In DRs, in all the other dungeons, it's very linear in a sense. But in ET or Earth Temple, you can do with chest storage. You're able to do a lot of different things to make things quicker. There's also the concept in Earth Temple of going straight to the boss, but also going to the left side of the dungeon. The left side of the dungeon contains the mini boss, and in vanilla is where you would I don't know, I think you get the boss key. Can't remember, but there's two paths you can do in ET. You can either go the left side first and do the mini boss and get the items there, and then go to the final boss, or you can do the final boss first and then go to the left side. And then there's also the idea that the left side of the dungeon may not contain anything useful, which is always a gamble with runners, because the final item we're looking for may be outside the dungeon, for example, and it may not even be on the left side of the dungeon. So yeah, ET is quite difficult to route. And because with chest storage as well, chest storage allows you to kind of there are different ways you can loop around the whole dungeon and get everything, or with chest storage just go straight to the final the boss of the dungeon. And depending on how you use chest storage, you can do different things. There's also a few kind of tricky areas in Earth Temple that requires a bit of practice to achieve, to get through. Also, it requires some magic as well. I think both runners do have a full magic bar, so I think they'll be fine. In fact, DJ is also doing ET, so it'll be great to see how he does it. So I think the Namphy is going to go forward for now. into the dungeon. And so this is where you need meddling to get through. Luckily, both runners do have Mirror Shield. It is possible to get through this dungeon without Mirror Shield, but there are, again, some other tricks you would need to do to get around the fact, because the dungeon expects you to have a Mirror Shield at a certain point. Okay, so this is our first stone tablet. Usually you would have to find the melody for this, so Earth God Lyrics, but I believe in Season 5 we actually start with Earth God Lyrics, so we don't need to find it in the overworld or in another location. We just start with it, so we can just play it here. What you'll see is some runners you don't necessarily need medley to get through the song stone. You can use chest storage to kind of glide your way into the loading zone, but Namphy has chosen not to do that. He has, however, decided not to bring medley with us through the rest of the dungeon, which is fine, as we don't technically need her until one of the rooms. So this is the what room is this called again? This is the foggy room with floor masters. As you can see, it's a very foggy room with floor masters. Luckily, once we open the chest, we have the sword. So that's our second sword for Namphy. We still need one more to power up fully. And also with light arrows, it's great. This is why light arrows is very powerful to find early on. These floor masters are very annoying to damage, because sometimes your sword kind of goes through them if you're not careful with the animation. But with light arrows, essentially one hit them. It's great. Do have to be careful with magic though, so hopefully the Namphy will get some magic. The reason why you need magic is because you need to use your leaf. Leaf does require magic in order to glide. So I think, yeah, he's finding some leaf now. So he's going to perform chest storage again, which will allow him to skip through some of the areas. Specifically, something that I haven't touched upon, because only DLC required it, was small keys. Forsaken Fortress didn't have any small keys. ET does. So you have to be careful of your small key count. There are ways to skip using small keys, and this is one of the ways that Namphy's doing. But he has one, so yeah. And with chest storage, you can see that he walked into the block instead of grabbing onto the ledge of the block, because he's with chest storage you're unable to. But he did use a small key here, and the reason for that is there isn't really any other need for that small key, as he can now just go do this. So he's gliding out of bounds, and then entering the load zone. Has to be very careful, because if you do fall out of bounds, you lose your chest storage, and you also lose the chest that you stored. So you either reload an earlier save, or you commit and find another way to get through. Yeah, so you have to be very careful. We're going to do another chest storage strat here, where you can walk up the Songstone, do a 180 and fly off it, and then land on this tomb. And again, with chest storage, you can... So this is similar to roll clip, where when you lift yourself up, you're kind of in the wall, and then it just takes you out of bounds, like so, and he's through. So, okay. While Namphy's doing that, and opening up the warp part, DJ is doing a chest storage strat to get through this room. In fact, he's going to go to the left side first. So, with chest storage, you can walk up the statue here and get to the left side. And while that's happening, the Namphy is using chest storage that he stored earlier on to get to the final boss. So this is Jalhala. So Jalhala is a unique boss, actually, because normally you would need your mirror shield to attack Jalhala, because he's a ghost and you use light to make him physical again, I guess. But surprisingly, if you do have light arrows early on, they programmed it so that you can just use light arrows on him, and it does the same thing. So having light arrows before entering this dungeon is also quite useful. And not only because the enemies in this dungeon are quite difficult to deal with, but also just it makes the boss really easy to do. In fact, DJ just showed an example of what light arrows, like these bosses, these enemies that are on DJ's side, can be quite annoying without light arrows. So it saves a lot of time having light arrows to deal with them. With chest storage, you can lose chest storage by opening one of the chests. As DJ has shown here, he's lost the chest storage kind of properties, but he still hasn't got the item from storing. So he actually still needs to enter a fade out zone in order to get it. So he has to be a bit careful. Ooh, that was close. Okay, on DJ's side, if he fell down, he would have to kill all the crypt enemies inside that area. But by standing on top of the tomb, you're able to kind of open it up and then go back to the platform and then scoop up the item with the boomerang. So it saves a bit of time there. And then meanwhile, the Nymphy has finished off the boss of this dungeon pretty quickly with light arrows. But there are a lot of checks in this dungeon that he's essentially avoided, so he will be sticking around a bit more. And actually just remember that DJ is at the mini boss. This mini boss in vanilla would give you the mirror shield. But what we can do is with hookshot, which I don't think you're supposed to have at this point as well, is you can just hookshot into the light post and grab the item, which is Ghost Ship Chart, which is another check in the overworld. So great to see. Let's see what DJ does. He's gonna just walk through. Okay, so with the Nymphy actually opened a warp pot before going to the boss of the dungeon. When you enter a warp pot and come back out the other side, your companion, so in this case Medley, will just be there. So you don't have to carry her through the dungeon to get to where you want. So warp pots are really great at teleporting companions. In this case, we do need her in this dungeon. In this room. She helps us get these 2 checks, as well as some other rooms as well. What are you doing, Nymphy? Okay, they are transparent, but you're able to see the chest type with its shininess. So we saw one of them was a brown chest. I'm not sure about the other chest. We'll see in a second. But yeah, you need Medley to open the light, but you also need her to help with kind of directing the light through the room, because it's like a giant. You need to get like a U-shape kind of beam to the other side, like so, and that's it. Dies the spiky. I think so. DJ has completed the left side of the dungeon. I think the only thing I saw was the Ghost Ship Chart. I missed with the items he's got. He will be progressing through the central part of the dungeon now. Oh, empty bottle. You do need the empty bottle to save Grandma as a check. We'll talk about that when that happens. So it's nice to have. And then this is where light arrows also shine in both ways. These skeletons can be extremely difficult to destroy. You have to place a bomb next to them so they explode into skeleton pieces, and then you also need to destroy the head either with the skull hammer or with your sword, and it can be quite finicky. And they move around a lot as well, so it takes a lot of time. But with light arrows, you can just one hit them, and it's great. Okay, DJ is doing a song stone as the Nymphy did. So this is another roll clip that the Nymphy's doing. Oh, first try, which is really nice. So you need to do a backflip to pull the leaf out in the middle of the air, and then you need to grab onto the ledge, pull yourself up, and then do a roll clip. So there's 2 parts to it. But you got the first try, which is nice to see. Light arrows on the knight. And then we have another spiky chest. Let's see what this one is. Picking up the sword for some reason. Okay. Oh, shard. So we're just missing one more shard for Linamphy. So we're missing one sword and one shard, and I think that's it for him. Whereas I'm not sure what DJ is. DJ I can see he's still missing one sword. I'm not sure how many shards he's got. So Linamphy is still continuing this dungeon, as it is very risky to skip the left side, and I don't know what checks he has in the overworld. So he's gonna go through it. Oh no, DJ managed to find his last sword, so that means there's a sword somewhere that Linamphy hasn't found yet. Yep, he's gonna go. Oh, he's missing a key. He doesn't have a key. So does he realize? He doesn't realize. Okay. It's fine. I think there's a chest at the start he hasn't used yet, so he's gonna go and use it. Is he gonna use it? Yep. Okay, so if he had opened this chest earlier on, then he would be in a bad position. But because there's this chest he hasn't opened, he's able to use chest storage and do what DJ did earlier on. So he would store this chest, and then he's gonna have to climb up the statue and get to the top. So nothing serious, but I assumed he was panicking a bit when he was upset when he was at the door. This statue can be quite annoying to climb up on. It's a bit precise, but not the end of the world. And then you might have missed this on DJ's side, but we can hook shot onto enemies and pull ourselves towards them. So something we can do here is by sticking your head through this wall, we hook shot into the buttocks of this enemy. We can get it, and then there we go. We're in. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think there's another good spot to for me to drink some more water. Do you have anything you want to share with us, Savage?
Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, you don't hear hook shot into an enemy buttocks every day. So that's always a thrill to hear in the middle of a race. I encourage everyone to donate to some of the lovely incentives that are coming up for the next games. In our Metroid Dread randomizer, you're going to be able to select the suit that Samus is going to wear. And in the Dr. Mario Shuffler coming up later, you can either be on Team Fever or Team Chill and run up a bid war for the music that you will hear in all of the games. And in the Final Fantasy VI run, you'll be able to either save the grandfather or leave him to his fate. I'm glad that we're hearing that in Wind Waker we'll be able to have a check to save Link's grandmother. It is always a good thing, as Kolfra said, for sure.
Yeah. Sorry, do you have anything else you want to share?
Well, I was just saying that seems like Linamphy is over the frustration, because I noticed him throwing around Medley. She got a little dizzy, so...
Yeah, I think Linamphy's on the Makar camp, so I think he likes Makar over Medley. I can't remember. A little bit of fun in the community.
I think... Oh, go ahead.
Saving Grandma is quite funny, because Saving Grandma does provide a check, but also provides like a magical potion. There are some people who typically avoid saving Grandma because it is quite long-winded. You have to grab a ferry, you have to go visit her. Oh God, forgive going to see Grandma, your lovely Grandma, right? and then you have to save her. Yeah, so some people do avoid that, and then treat that as the last check of the game, let's say, which is quite funny.
Now, I think there's a Tingle statue in the Earth Temple. I forget. Those are not required checks, or...
No. So, you do need 5 Tingle statues to give an item, but they are randomized. And so this comes back to the idea that you may sometimes find one statue randomly, and you'll think, huh, that's okay, I guess, but it doesn't provide anything useful because in a sense it doesn't really open up any checks until you get the 5th one, and once you do get the 5th one, it's just one check. However, we do get to see one of our favorite characters of the game called Ankle. I don't know how many statues our runners have found so far, so I don't know if we get to see him or not. Let's see. Yeah. We will see. Oh, and yeah, the Namphy's done. DJ is, I think... I'm not sure what DJ has to do now. I think he just did Jalhala. Oh yeah, okay, realized doesn't need to bring Medley. I think he's got a mirror room to do, which is where you would need Medley at the end. Yep, he's going straight there. The Namphy is actually saving Grandma. You do need a fairy. I think usually before bosses, there's like a pot that contains a fairy. Except for some of them, I can't remember which one. But yeah, but if you want a quick access to a fairy, you can go to Mother and Child. So he's actually going straight.
I totally forgot what a fairy looks like in the bottle. It's so sad.
It's very expressive in Wind Waker compared to the other ones. Yeah, don't worry, it won't be there for long. We'll set her free once. It's for a good cause, I guess. Yeah. So, okay, DJ is doing the mirror room with Medley, and we're gonna save Grandma. So Grandma does provide a check, specifically a meal check, but also the soup she gives. So Grandma's soup, it's great because it doubles your attack and it restores your magic and health. But also it contains 2 portions inside a single bottle. So normally, with potions, you drink 1 potion and you use it all up. But with soup, Grandma loves these so much that she puts 2 of them in, enough for 2 portions in the bottle, which is great. It actually allows us to do something called soup dupe, where you're able to duplicate the soup into another bottle. But we only found 1 so far, so I don't think we'll be seeing it. Okay, so the reason why Grandma is a bit out of the way is she provides a mail check, which requires a day transition. We just got Baito. Baito's mail check that you get from defeating Jalhala, so it's a valid check, but you need to defeat Jalhala first to get it. This is a Namphy changing time. He has to do it twice, I believe. Well, he's got 2nd letter, so... Oh no, okay. Okay, cool. Yep, this is just once. Oh! How the mail time system works is a bit weird. It depends on what time it is and when... Like, if you imagine a 24-hour clock, if you're at 1 a.m. and it looks nighttime to you, you'll need to do it twice, versus if it was at 11 p.m. you would need to go past 12, if that makes sense. So it can be a bit awkward, and I think Grandma requires I can't remember the timing off the top of my head, but yeah, that's why the Namphy you have to do it once, but in other cases you would have to do it twice. We did actually see 5 Tingle statues, so this is Ankle. So this tower is great. You can hook shot to the top if you have hook shot, which skips the whole climbing animation. We don't really care about Tingle, even though we did save him. But Ankle is the man we want to see. He gives you 50 rupees for each statue you find, but also it's this item, which is the shard!
Woo!
That's the last one as well, and I think the Namphy is go mode. I think he's found everything.
I mean,
which is great.
They say that Tingle's not useful for anything.
Well,
Ankle, sorry.
Yeah, Ankle is... there's definitely a lot of jokes in the community around him. Yeah, he's... he is such a long-winded check with 5 statues, and because of how the game randomizes things, it's not likely he'll contain something. But yeah, he's always at least he gives the rupees, which is quite important for when we have treasure chart. Expensive purchases on, which requires a lot of money. Expensive purchases is things like the auction house, and Beetle, for example. There's a golden Beetle boat in the world which has very expensive items, and so with the settings on, you may have progression item on there. There's also if you have treasure charts on. So treasure charts we have two settings for. We have the normal treasure charts, which is the blue treasure charts that you can see, that you can find, and you can open up immediately. Oh, and Navi's showing off breaking the barrier with a horizontal slash. There's the barrier, and there's him slashing. So just to talk about, so you need 8 Triforce pieces to get into Hyrule. Hyrule itself contains the Master Sword Chamber, which also contains a check there. So just by having 8 Triforce shards gives you an extra check. But then you also need the Master Sword to break the barrier, fully powered up. So this is where the 3 swords come in. And that grants you access to Ganon's Tower. Ganon's Tower contains another check called Maze Chest, where it's very long. You do have to go through the maze in each room. It's a very it's one of the last locations that you would normally check because it's so long-winded. But luckily, because of the hint system that we have, Maze Chest is guaranteed to be hinted. So we do know there's nothing useful there. And yeah, so actually what Lanfi's going to do right now, he's going to go straight to the final boss. You may notice that once he gets to the next room, so there are 4 trials that you have to go through. The 4 trials are the 4 previous bosses that you've defeated. We have an option in Randomizer to skip that, and in general we generally skip doing the trials again because I think not a lot of people like it. A fun little time save there on that corner of the door where you can sidle into the gap and trigger the loading zone. And then with our light arrows, we can take down one of the phantom gangs. Oh, we missed. It's unfortunate. Oh, we missed again. Okay. So yeah, Rananthi is just progressing to Papa Ganon, which is the second to last boss. DJ is still searching for his last shard piece, I believe, which is on ankle. So I think, fun fact, Maze Chest in the Vanilla Wind Waker is what contains light arrows, and you're supposed to use light arrows in this staircase area. But surprisingly, a lot of casual players don't realize that. Light arrows, it seems to be quite a hidden weapon in casual plays. But yeah.
Are you serious? You're supposed to use that now? Oh my god.
Yeah, I've seen a few casual players, and yeah, they just forget that light arrows is useful like that. So it's quite funny. But
guess I have to go back and play this.
I guess it's such a late game item as well, so you just don't realize. But you do need light arrows here, and so this is logically this is where you need boomerang, because logically you're meant to in Papa Ganon phase 1, so there are 3 phases. Phase 1, it has the strings attached to Papa Ganon, and you're supposed to use boomerang to take down the strings, so kind of his legs and tail drags along. That tail part with the orb is where you want to aim your light arrows to. But again, because we're speedrunners, we just don't bother with that. We just kind of aim and try to hit the orb. So Papa Ganon phase 1 does have kind of like a set pattern. He kind of wiggles around, then he stops, attacks you, and then wiggles around again. And then just by kind of the wiggling motion and the stopping motion, you're able to kind of time it and know where to fire your arrow. It is tricky, it's not easy. You have good days and you have bad days. but with the practice, it's not too bad. So that's what the Nanfi just showed. Phase 2 has this spinning spider attack thing. You can do something pretty nice here. Let's see if the Nanfi gets it. Use again, his orb is on the backside of his spider. You can hit the first orb. Oh, okay, that's double crypt shot. So what the Nanfi just pulled off is a crypt shot. Basically, you hit the orb, and yeah, you know, it blows up. He starts retracting and going upwards. But if you're able to fire again, you can shoot him while he's lifting up, and then hit the orb twice as he's lifting upwards. So that's what we call crypt shot. And he got that first try, which is really nice. Runners can sometimes get it hit it once as it's retracting, but getting it twice in a row is this requires some practice. And then this is his last form. I'm not sure what form it's called, but it's kind of like a snake form. You can use bombs to... Ooh, nearly. So you can use bombs to stop him in his moving around. And then what the Nanfi was doing there is that if you line up directly behind his tail and shoot it, he'll launch upwards in a specific way where you're able to kind of shoot another arrows while he's in midair, which we call truck shot. And again, hit him again. He wasn't able to get it when he attempted it, but it is something that you can do, and it helps again with the whole battle. I forgot to mention that each phase requires three orb shots to get through. This is the rope climb. What the Nanfi's doing is that he's holding down the R trigger and mashing A and B to let go and grab the rope. And by letting go and grabbing at the same consecutively, it pushes himself up, which is quicker than climbing like he's doing right now. So he's able to go like halfway upwards and climb the rope. This is another strat. I don't know what this is called, but this is grapple skip, I believe, where you skip using the grapple by clipping through the floor, going up the rails, and then this is just using hook shot, and then entering to find the boss battle, Ganon. Meanwhile, DJ is slowly approaching Puppet Ganon, so not too far behind, but I think unless the Nanfi fails defeating Ganon, then I think the Nanfi has it. So Ganon fight can be tricky. He does hit quite hard, so you have to be very careful. Luckily, Nanfi has soup, so he can recover his health. The first phase is getting hit by the light arrows twice from Zelda. After that, Zelda goes to bed for a bit, and the Nanfi basically has to do some parry attacks to damage Ganon enough to wake Zelda up. With soup, it can be pretty quick. Without soup, it just takes a bit longer, but the Nanfi did have soup. Lastly, or finally, Zelda shoots an arrow at the Nanfi, and the Nanfi has the mirror shield, so the light arrows will bounce off the mirror shield into Ganon. The Nanfi's doing a strat where if you don't target lock Ganon, then it won't play a cutscene, and then with that, it's a game for the Nanfi. That's it. GG's. Whew. A lot happening in a short amount of time. Meanwhile, DJ is on Puppet Ganon 1. I think he's going to struggle a bit with the reticle that he has on the Metroid Prime or the Metroid model. See how it goes.
I'm not gonna lie, while you were talking, I thought you said it was Papa Ganon, and I was like, that's a great name for the community to have. I was like, that's a great name for the community to have.
I think we can bring the Lampy into the... I think we can bring the Lampy into the...
Yeah, for sure.
Voice, if that's okay, right?
I brought myself.
Yeah, for sure.
Hello, Lampy.
GG's.
Hello, Lampy.
GG's.
GG's.
I see you were showing off with a lot of strats. I see you were showing off with a lot of strats.
Kinda.
Which I had to explain very quickly before. Before you moved on to other strats. It's been
I figured I might as well, right? I was if I was playing like regularly, if I actually was playing competitively, I probably enter Earth Temple immediately after Forsaken Fortress.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I figured I wanted to show off Earth Temple Go mode, but it didn't happen, unfortunately. Earth Temple was loaded.
Yeah. Yeah. I think luckily you found light arrows pretty early. I think luckily you found light arrows pretty early, which kind of helped the dungeon. Earlier. I think when I saw the seed at the start, I think I saw the hints. When I saw the seed at the start, I thought it was going to be pretty. And I saw it starting with leaf. Pretty simple. Be pretty run. Overall, pretty simple compared to run runs I've seen. Compared to
It wasn't
other runs I've seen.
that complex to route.
Yeah. I think both you and DJ didn't go to Windfall immediately. I think both you and DJ saw the Picto box scenario that happened for you, where you did Len's door cancel and then found Picto and then found Picto again.
It's a good day for people who do Maggie first.
Yeah. DJ didn't get Crypt Shot, but he has another attempt. He missed it. Oh no, that was his third one. Okay. Yep. Never mind me. Second phase down. Yeah, congrats on getting the double Crypt Shot as well. That was really nice to see.
That was, I was hoping I would get it. I was also hoping for a Trog, maybe a double Trog. But...
Yeah. So just to reiterate, Crypt Shot is the Puppet Ganon phase 2 when he's in the spider form, and he's lifting upwards, and you're able to shoot his tail again as he's lifting upwards. What DJ is trying to do right now is Trog Shot, where you hit him the first time, and he kind of rebounds up into the air, and you're able to shoot him again while he's in the air. Both very tricky tricks to pull off, but can be quite consistent sometimes. Okay.
Ended up being pretty close.
Yeah, I think when you did Puppet Ganon, DJ just about entered tower.
Yeah.
I think you both were looking for the last shard as well on ankle, which is pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
How many checks did you do in the end?
I did, well, according to the tracker, I did 143.
Okay.
But that's also like the items from hints, which are excluded. So I left 2 locations. And that's
so pretty
and Hyrule.
Pretty clean then overall.
Yeah.
Here you go. DJ's doing a grapple skip. Ooh, unfortunate. It's a bit of a precise setup. Backflip, sword slash.
Not retrying it though.
Shield backflip. But yeah, that allows you to skip using grapple, which is what DJ's doing right now, as it's a bit slow to climb up and everything. And then he's gonna hook shot upwards. But yeah, how did you find the seed overall? Other than it wasn't complex.
Actually, pretty normal in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing out of the ordinary. Not some really weird quest chain I needed to follow, or just a pretty open seed.
Mm-hmm.
We had all the items we needed to do almost every check. Yeah. I guess a good seed to show off.
I did see you struggle a bit with Medley on the small key door.
Oh yeah,
because you didn't realize.
I deleted it, and I was like, okay, I'm just not in front of this door, and I pressed A, so I threw Medley against the door, right? So I retry, and that time I was like, okay, there's something wrong here. Oh, I'm missing a key. I deleted one. I'm sure you explained what happens when you use storage and have an item stored.
So yeah, so what the Nemphy's referring to is GG's DJ, by the way.
GG's.
GG's.
What a good race. GG's. Almost full cleared everything except for two checks. Race.
Yep, me too.
Almost full cleared.
How'd you find overall?
Except for 2 checks. I didn't do Bullship and Fire Mountain. Which tricks have you done?
Oh right,
There,
you
Fire
can
Mountain.
I didn't do Bullship and Fire Mountain. Did you do Fire Mountain?
I did
Right,
do
there
Fire
it
Mountain,
is.
but I didn't do High Roll.
Oh no. Did you do Fire Mountain?
Okay.
Yeah. And I actually went for left side on ET. Just cause like, you know, there was a lot of things missing, so I was like, you know what, let's do ET left side on ET. And it was kinda loaded. Just cause like, you know, there was a lot of things
I
missing,
think
so I was like,
routing
you know what, let's
wise,
do
that
ET
was the correct
left side.
option.
And it was kinda loaded.
Because we still had a lot of single quest items left, like the bottle which leads to the mill to Grandma, which is only one check.
Yeah.
The final Tingle statue, which also leads to one item.
Mhm.
The ghost ship was also missing.
Yeah.
So, knowing that, I think it would have been a great routing decision to just enter Earth Temple before doing any of the overworld stuff. But like I said, I just did the overworld stuff to show off the go mode. But yeah.
Yeah, and I also I left Windfall like kind of late. I like didn't go like directly over there. You know, it's like where the hero. Just because I wanted to do like I guess try to find pick the box early or delivery bag, but turns out pick the box was in there and you have to get bait bag in Windfall and then get delivery bag. So you have to like do a little dips there.
I tried the same, but didn't really work out. Dragon Roost Cavern wasn't really a loaded dungeon or anything. It was pretty.
Yeah, it was dead. And that Vince Pearl at Spiky was funny.
That was a great race, and you should go back and watch the VOD because Kolfra had a marathon of his own there, commenting for both of you. It was outstanding. Are there any shout outs that you want to make to your community or plugs for people to join you?
Do we have the link for the Windmaker Discord?
Yeah. We should send it out.
Yeah, you should link your Discord.
We're a pretty chill community, I'd say. Not too we like learning each other's stuff. So if you think like, hey, this is something I want to learn, but it looks like hard. It's not that hard at all. Especially if you have a chill group to practice with and ask questions to.
Yeah.
So joining the Discord, just asking some questions is would be a great option. And
yeah,
would love.
I'm always happy to help out with strats, you know, for beginners or routing wise as well.
Exactly. So just a shout out to the Wind Waker Randomizer community. I wouldn't have picked up this game as long as I did if the community wasn't there. So
yeah.
I hope it was. I think Kolfra undoubtedly did a great job in explaining every trick, but I hope it wasn't too complex in a way to follow.
I think it was. We just have a lot of complex tricks like storage and chest storage, and I don't know if I was worrying that it might be too complex, but yeah, there's a lot of interesting things happening during the stream. So,
and can I say this Samus mod really threw me off with the bow aiming.
Yeah,
I was not used to like his aim button.
Yeah,
so that was interesting.
Yeah, thanks.
Was pretty cool though.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming on, and that was an amazing run. So thank you for showing that off, especially the pig toss. We all that's what we all needed. That is the pig relationship we all deserve. So thank you so much for showing off Wind Waker, guys.
No problem.
Yes,
that's definitely a famous check.
Thanks for hosting. Thanks to the Randothon as well, and yeah, thanks for rehosting as well, Asuka as well in the background. So,
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.